After a routine surgery gone wrong, a health store owner is cryogenically frozen and wakes up 200 years later, where a rebel group plans to use him as a spy against an oppressive government. In 2173, two scientists meet clandestinely in a parking lot, discussing their plans to wake a subject. Dr. Orva enters the facility and informs his colleague about the situation. The man they found in the woods had been in cryostasis for 200 years. After performing a series of tests, the group discovers that the 35-year-old man is named Miles Monroe, a clarinet jazz player and owner of a health food store called Happy Carrot. They also learn that due to complications of his routine surgery, his cousin placed him under cryopreservation to repair the damage. Orva orders his team to carefully wake him up as they're dealing with an involuntary subject who believes he's still in 1973. They give Miles water to drink, but he spits it out, with one scientist confirming his swallow reflexes haven't fully returned. They give him something to eat, but Miles smashes the food onto the scientist's faces. Although the subject isn't ready yet, Dr. Orva instructs his colleagues that they have to move him to the farm immediately. Dr. Orva and Dr. Melik try to teach Miles how to walk again, but the latter marches backward, much to their dismay. Alarms start to blare, so the doctors have no choice but to disguise Miles as a scientist. While they dress him in a lab coat, a dazed Miles chews on a surgical glove, so Dr. Melik snatches it from him. Two security guards then enter the lab to question the scientists because they noticed a power increase in their area. The two doctors lie about the situation, but one of the guards finds the sheet with Miles's information and tries to take them away. However, Dr. Orva declares that they have the authorization to perform the Venus Project, in which they subject Dr. Miles Monroe to a new ray. Seeing a convulsing Miles and believing their word about having clearance, the guards let them go. After struggling to place Miles into their vehicle, the scientists travel to their rendezvous point. The following day, Dr. Melik and Dr. Orva observe Miles as he's being rehabilitated. Dr. Melik informs her colleague that the subject is almost fully recovered and that he had requested wheat germ, organic honey, and tiger's milk for breakfast. The two scientists then discuss how diet has evolved over the years, since steaks and other fatty foods are now considered healthy. Later, Dr. Melik heads down to inform Miles of the truth, and he faints. After he wakes up, Dr. Orva explains that America was destroyed by the war after a man named Albert Schenker got a hold of a nuclear warhead. The scientist then tells Miles that he has to remain in hiding because they illegally revived him, and their brains will be electronically simplified if the government finds out. Seeing Miles overwhelmed, Dr. Orva believes they're putting too much information on him and suggests they tranquilize him. He then offers Miles tobacco to calm him down, claiming it's one of the healthiest things around. Afterward, Miles is taken to another room where Dr. Orva examines him. However, he immediately loses consciousness when he sees Dr. Tryon with a large syringe. Later, Dr. Tryon shows Miles photos of famous figures from the 1950s to the 2000s and asks the man to explain who they are. Miles identifies some people but provides inaccurate descriptions, such as Charles de Gaulle being a chef. After Miles takes a lewd magazine to study later, he explains the purpose of a chattering teeth toy to a bewildered Dr. Tryon. Afterward, Miles has dinner with Dr. Orva and Dr. Melik, and robots serve them. Dr. Orva demonstrates its advanced capabilities by asking Janice 414 to describe its duties to an amazed Miles. Realizing it's late, Dr. Melik tells Miles that they have to transfer him to the headquarters in the Western District. They explain that they plan to use Miles as a spy to infiltrate the government's Ares project, as he's the only member of their society without any biometric identity. However, Miles vehemently refuses to be part of it. Suddenly, Janice 414 informs the group that the security police have arrived. After the scientist begs Miles to find the Ares project, they attempt to run but are captured by the authorities, who simplify their brains. Meanwhile, Miles escapes through the window. He tries to start the vehicle but fails, so he takes a jetpack instead. However, Miles doesn't know how to operate it properly, so he runs away as the police chase him. After the authorities lose sight of him, Miles hides in the back of a robot transport vehicle. He quickly disguises himself as an android and is delivered to the home of socialite Luna Schlosser. After introducing himself as Robot Milo, she immediately orders him to prepare for her party just as her guests arrive. Unfortunately, Miles destroys dinner by causing the goo to overflow and burns their coats when he accidentally places it in the garbage disposal unit. Miles also starts acting strangely when he carries an orb that intoxicates people through touch, and he starts dancing when they leave to go for a swim. Later, Luna and Harold return to the drawing room, where they go to the Orgasmatron machine to copulate. After they make love, the two hear from the news that the authorities are hunting down an alien. Harold then informs Luna that their friend Dalton Porter was arrested for being part of the Underground Rebellion, and that the police simplified his mind when he tried to talk about the Ares project. Then Luna recites her poem about a butterfly turning into a caterpillar. Harold corrects that it's the other way around, making her cry because she hates being wrong. To console her, Harold turns on the TV where the leader waves goodnight. The next morning, Luna drops Miles at the robot facility to have his head removed, since she wants a more aesthetically pleasing replacement. Horrified, Miles tries to run away but is chased by a security guard. He manages to escape the guard's clutches by stuffing blue cheese into his mouth and goes to Luna to beg her to help him. After Miles reveals his identity, Luna realizes he's the alien the authorities have been searching for and tries to scream for help. However, Miles abducts her and drives away. Soon they arrive in the forest where Miles tries to get Luna to help him find the Ares project, but she refuses. So, Miles promises to find food for her if she drives him to the Western District. Miles then goes to a farm where he tries to steal a giant banana. A farmer catches him, so Miles beats him with a huge strawberry and flees with other stolen giant crops. Later that evening, Miles and Luna munch on the vegetables, with the latter complaining about the lack of seasoning and dessert. Luna then clubs him with a stick and tries to run away, but Miles grabs her. The following day, the two enter a house to steal a car. Luna immediately heads to the bathroom to call the police and informs them where they are heading. Afterward, Luna asks their host for a hydrovac suit and makes Miles wear it as a disguise. She then drives to the river where the authorities catch up to them. Luna inflates Miles' suit to impede his movements, but he uses it to his advantage and tries to float away. Meanwhile, the police grab Luna, informing her she must be destroyed because she's been overexposed to the alien. Miles then saves her by knocking them to the ground and tells her to get on top of him so they can swim across the river. However, Luna protests because she can't swim, but Miles makes her get on anyway. One of the authorities then shoots Miles' suit, causing the releasing air to propel them to the other side of the river. Soon, the two stumble upon an abandoned 200-year-old Volkswagen Beetle in a cave. After Miles discovers that it still works, they use it as their means of transportation. Luna then reveals that cities no longer exist, but shares that she went to a university to study copulation techniques. Later, Miles attempts to dump the Beetle over the cliff so the authorities can't trace them. Luna asks if he believes in God, but Miles says that he's a teleological existential atheist. Tired of her babbling, Miles asks her to help him push the car, but realizes they might have killed an unsuspecting turtle below. Soon, the pair reach the barn where Miles was brought to earlier. They enter the house where Janice startles them. Luna then takes a bubble bath while Miles shaves his beard off using the gyro mirror, where his reflection changes to different personalities. Afterward, Luna asks Miles if he wants to copulate using the orgasmatron, but the latter declines because he wants to use his own body. He then shares that he used to have a wife that worked as a hitman for the mafia, but Luna doesn't believe him, claiming everything he says is a joke. She then tries to talk him into doing it with her, but Miles refuses, insisting he wants to charm her first. However, Luna explains that it's different now because everyone is cold and indifferent. After they kiss, Luna asks if they can get into the machine to do it, but Miles declines. Suddenly, the police arrive and surround the house. Miles hides Luna behind the machine, hands her a gun, and instructs her to stop the Ares project. The authorities then find him inside the orgasmatron machine and capture him. Miles is then taken to a facility where he's introduced to Dr. Nero, who will supervise his initial assimilation phase. Miles is then brainwashed into becoming a compliant member of society by using a pageant, where he wins as Miss Montana. Nero then brings Miles to the dressing room to be outfitted. Two bickering robots cater to him and provide him with an ill-fitting jacket. Soon, Dr. Nero informs Miles he has to work at the Function Complex for 1 year because it's required of all citizens. She then shows him around his new apartment, claiming it's a gift from the leader. Dr. Nero then reveals that Miles will have his own home with androids after his orientation, but for now, he's given a robot dog named Rags. At work, Miles flirts with his colleague Rainer and brings her home, where they get intoxicated. Meanwhile, Luna has gotten the hang of forest life when a man claiming he's from the underground grabs her from behind. Miles then goes to church, where he confesses that he makes love to Rainer during lunch hour. The machine then declares that he's been absolved of his sins and hands him a doll. Meanwhile, Luna joins the rebellion and flirts with the leader, Erno Wind. 6 months later, Luna enters Miles' apartment, but he doesn't remember her. Luna tries to make him remember the truth, but fails. As Miles tries to get Rags to attack the woman, the rebels come out of hiding and capture him. They bring him back to the base, where they inject a drug that'll force him to re-experience some of the major traumas in his life to shatter his recent personality. Luna and Erno attempt to reenact the dinner scene from A Streetcar Named Desire to induce stress on Miles, but the latter starts to believe he's Blanche Dubois, his brain clearly rejecting the treatment. Miles rambles, so Luna plays along with the script as Erno injects him with the drug again. Soon, Luna rouses Miles from his restless sleep and he's surprised at her new appearance. She explains that the rebellion made her more cunning and animalistic as another member tosses a piece of meat for her meal. Luna reveals that Erno plans to start a Marxist regime, and she sings him a song that she wrote about the upcoming revolution. However, Miles argues that they must stop the Ares project first and kisses her. Later, Miles walks in on Luna and Erno making out. The couple sees him and informs him of their plan to sneak inside the Ares project during Ares Day, using a fake thumbprint to bypass security. Soon, Miles and Luna infiltrate the base, where they're nervous as soon as they step inside. Miles expresses his jealousy of her relationship with Erno, but Luna declares that her love is a gift to all the Bolshevik brothers, causing them to argue. The pair then head to the function complex and use the film to lower Miles to the dressing room. Miles then grabs the doctor's clothes and returns to the room, where he finds tape strewn all around, because Luna accidentally destroyed the machine. Afterward, they make their way up, dressed as doctors. Miles asserts that they're doing it his way, not Erno's, much to Luna's annoyance. However, they run into a group of officials who mistake Miles for Dr. Temkin and ask the two to accompany them. The pair is then led to a theater where they discover that the leader was killed in his home by a rebel bomb 10 months ago, and all that remains is his nose. The officials wish to clone the leader using his remaining organ, and after he's reborn, plan to exterminate the rebellion. After the presentation, Miles and Luna attempt to radio Erno but realize they've lost the device. Miles then decides that the only way to stop them is for Luna to distract them while he steals the nose. As they anxiously head to the operating chamber, Luna hands Miles the gun he gave her at the barn. They then enter the room where they find the officials observing them from above. They are greeted by BioCentral Computer 2100 Series G, a computer that'll aid them during the cloning process. Miles announces that he plans to postpone the procedure, but Luna wishes to go through with it, causing the two to argue. Miles is forced to proceed and attempts to stall by talking gibberish to the audience. After donning a surgical mask, Miles hides the nose underneath it, but the officials catch him, and security tries to arrest him. However, Miles threatens to shoot the nose, but realizes it's a toy gun. The two then run outside, and Miles throws the nose onto a vehicle's path, where it's squashed. The officials are horrified because their cloning scheme has been ruined. The pair then escape in a vehicle just as the authorities arrive. The police are about to launch a rocket when it backfires and destroys their car instead. Later, Luna commends Miles for his actions but claims they couldn't have done it without Erno's plan. A furious Miles tells Luna that Erno will inevitably be just as corrupt as the leader and that political solutions never work. The two then confess their love for one another, but Luna claims that science has proven men and women can't have meaningful relationships due to chemical incompatibilities. However, Miles argues that he doesn't believe in science, so Luna asks what he accepts as truth, since he doesn't have faith in God or any political systems. Miles responds that he believes in making love and death, and the two kiss.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.